Hello and welcome to our video tutorial. In this video, we're going to learn how to build a basic submission form using the Flex framework. So let's go inside Caspio and let's find out how. But once you're inside the account, go ahead and navigate over to your tables object. Tables are the foundation of any app that you develop. That's where all of the data is going to reside. So when you create the submission form via the web and you submit the form, all of that data is going to be stored inside your table. And in the Flex framework, or even if you're using the Bridge framework, there are three methods on how you can go about building a table. You can build your table from scratch. You can import data from Excel. And if your Excel file contains column headings, that Excel file will be converted into a table inside Caspio. And the third method is to use Caspio's AI assistant. And if you provide a prompt, you're going to get a suggestion along with some fields and data type. Or what could that table have for your project? So let me give you an example. If you say create a projects table with minimum of 10 fields, in a few seconds, you're going to be able to create the table now and use the suggested fields along with the data types. And of course, you can modify those fields and the data types until you finalize the design of your table. In today's video, we're going to build our table from scratch. So I will collapse the AI assistant, create the table, and let's add a few fields to our table. The number one field that we always want to add is a primary key. In this case, we're going to build a contacts form or contact us form. So we want to have a contact ID as the primary key. We can choose any of the 4 ID types that Caspio provides. I will select random ID and then list down a few fields that you would like to have in your table. In other words, what information do you want to collect from the submission form? So we could have name of the person submitting the form. We may ask for their email, their phone number, message, and let's have the date field or date submitted in this case. For the message field, we want to select a text64 data type. That's for long text. For date submitted, let's do a timestamp so we can automatically stamp the date and time of the submission. And once you're satisfied with all of the fields and data types, you can click Save. Let's give this a name. We're going to call this something simple, Demo Flex Contact Info. Of course, you will have your own naming convention. Let's go ahead and click Finish. And now to build the form, we need to navigate over to the Designer tab. And this is where you're going to be able to see everything in real time. As you're building your application, you're going to be able to see how all of the components come together inside the middle. I am going to close or move this chat window icon to the bottom right. So if you do need assistance, you can always click here to get help. But let's see how we can go ahead and build that form. If you want to learn more about app pages and application segments, we have other videos that explain how those work. In today's video, we're just focusing on how to build a form data part. For my app page name, I'm just going to rename this to Contact Us. And then in order for me to add the form to my app page, we need to click on Add Elements here or up here at the top left. And then we can go ahead and just select the submission form, or you can drag and drop this into your app page. Select the table that we just created as our data source table. Choose what fields you would like to have in your form. In this case, I want all the fields. Click Next. And now we can modify the fields in terms of having different drop downs, radio buttons, what you want the output to be when people look at the form via the web. So for example, for my name field, I'm a big fan of using float for my label, which means that you will see the label inside the field, and as you begin typing, the label is going to float up above. So for all of my fields, I will go ahead and choose float, but feel free to experiment and see which label position you like the best. And then for my message field, I'll go back to the General tab and simply choose text area rather than text field, so that we can see a nice box and the user can see what they're typing. Now, you do have plenty of other options here in configuring the form. If you have other fields, let's say you want the name field or some other field to be a radio button, drop-down, checkbox, you have so many options here on how you can configure each field. In other words, how you want to capture the data from your application user. You can also make fields required if needed. You can also add HTML blocks. So if you wanted to add a heading or a subheading, you can do so inside the HTML block. And then once you're happy with the design of your form, you can click Save. You'll get this pop-up if you haven't configured your roles yet, which is the tab over here on the left-hand side. I did this on purpose so that you can see this pop-up. It's letting you know that additional permissions are required. In order for anyone to be able to fill out that form in the public segment, you will need to allow that in the roles tab, and I will show you that in just a moment here. But for now, let's go ahead and click on confirm. Now we see the form, but you also just see this little icon here in the upper right, letting you know that people will not have permission to submit the form because you haven't enabled those permissions yet. So let me show you how you can fix that. If you ever see that message, you go to your roles tab, you click on open for public access, and all you need to do is under create, you want to say all records, meaning that anybody who goes to that form will be able to submit that form. Let's save our permissions. Let's go back to our designer tab, and you will now see we no longer see that little icon. Now, if I want to add a heading to my form, I can either use the HTML block, or I can add my heading up here and just simply say contact us. Click inside the app page, and I will be able to see that heading. You have the option to move your data parts. You will see these grids behind the scenes. They kind of snap in place depending on the location where you want to put the form. You can also make forms wider or more narrow depending on if you have additional data parts that you wish to put onto your app page. But let's say you're happy with the way the form looks and you'd like to see what this looks like via the web. You can click on deployment, expand the public segment, enable deployment status, and simply click on the link that you see here. It'll take you to your page, and there's my form. There are many more configurations that you can enable on the submission form data part, so feel free to experiment, or if you have questions, feel free to reach the Caspio team and somebody will be able to assist you. Thanks for watching.